Welcome to the July podcast of Conversations at the Vault, sponsored by Angelina Carew of Hometown Realty. I'm so excited to have our guests here today. We have Melissa Overton of medicaltraining.me, and she is the project manager for LaunchJOCO. And then we have Joe Russotto, who is Next Level Electric, and he's also a current student with LaunchJOCO, and we're so excited to have you guys here, and we're going to talk about all things LaunchJOCO today.
Awesome. Can't wait.
Can't wait. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So I wanted to start off with talking to Melissa a little bit about the history, the evolution of LaunchJOCO, how it became what it is today, and how we're moving forward, and it's an evolving program, right?
Right.
And, our partners and just a little bit of everything about Launch. Yeah. What can you tell us?
So LaunchJOCO is definitely a passion project. A few years back, I became the Workforce Development Chair for Clayton Chamber of Commerce, and Dana, myself, and Melissa Oliver sat down, who is the current board chair, and said, what is something meaningful that we can create out of workforce development that really starts to make a big impact in the community? That's when Dana said, hey, have you ever heard of Launch My City? And I said, no. And she started talking about this program that was designed for entrepreneurs to be successful, because usually, statistically, businesses usually fail within about the first 5 years as an entrepreneur, not because you didn't know how to do what you do really well, but because you didn't know how to run the business side of things. And that really resonated with me as a small business owner coming in. I'm like, gosh, how successful could have been even faster if I had had this kind of knowledge. So we started doing the research on the program and learned that there is a classroom component, and then there's a mentoring component, and during that mentoring, also connecting to the network side of things. So that's how it all started. The first year, we grabbed everybody that was interested, threw them all together, said, let's do this, and then went back and looked at the program again and said, okay, how can we make it better? We began to realize that if you were in a business idea setting, the existing LaunchJOCO just wasn't the right fit. It seemed to frustrate people who just didn't have the actual numbers to put out when you're looking at the numbers of your business, the cost. So over the last few years, we've kind of edited the program, and I would say this year has been the most successful because we realized that we needed people who were in business, generating income. So then they were all having the same discussions with each other, and they all could say, oh yeah, I've run into that. I've run into that challenge. So it has evolved. We have Launch Now, which is for those who have the business idea or just starting to launch the business, not quite there yet. We are referring back to the Small Business Center. Johnston Community College is a major partner. Suzanne Ross sits down and meets with them. Where are you? What do we need to do to set you up for success with or without the launch program, right? And then on top of that, if they are a good fit for the launch program, how do we get you positioned so that you can apply within the next cohort to do that? Where we go into Launch Next. And that's how we met Joe, right?
Yeah.
So Launch Next is designed to say, hey, you're here now. And now what's next is, okay, you've got your business going. How do we help you get some good traction so that you can stay on the course and be more successful?
Right. So you mentioned this was a passion project for you. So talk a little bit about, because you're an entrepreneur yourself.
Yes.
And you did touch on it a bit, but talk a little bit more about that, and then let's talk about who our partners are and why this has evolved into a countywide collaborative.
Yes. So I'm a critical care nurse by background. So ER, ICU, and did education in between, which means I'm mouthy, I'm opinionated, I'm not afraid to take challenges and take risks. I know, never. I'm such an introvert. You just worry about me, So looking at starting a business, I knew that I love the education component of things. I love the teaching. I love the connecting with people. So I had this grand idea that when my kids graduated from high school, I would start my own medical training company. And they always say, tell God your plan and he'll laugh at you. So Thomas was 6 and Lainey was 4 when I started medicaltraining.me. And what I found is I knew how to teach these continuing education classes really well. But what I was running into was some of the challenges of, I remember my first mentor, Don Dugan, with Edward Jones. I met him through my first Chamber of Commerce event. So, getting involved in your chamber is so important as an entrepreneur. And he sat down with me and he said, "What's your overhead?" And I said, "What do you mean my overhead?" And he said, "How much do you need to make a day to keep the lights on in your building?" And I was like, "That's a number?" And he was like, "Really?" And I was like, "Okay." I was like, "What do you mean by that?" And I said, "I know how much money I need a month to pay my bills." And he's like, "But how does that break down into a daily?" And I was, and it was just this moment, and it was such a gift that I had someone like him involved with my business early on, because I think without that moment of turning on a light and going, okay, there are some things you need to know about running a business to be successful, I think that I would have stumbled if not failed without that. So that's kind of how it became a passion project for me, as I thought, gosh, I worked really hard to build a business and stabilize a business, and then not even to mention making the contacts in the community. I grew up in this area and then I moved away. I did not maintain those relationships just because life happened. So all of a sudden I moved back and I started a business. So essentially I started over again.
Right.
And there was this like wake up call for me. I don't know if it happened with you, Joe, but like you walk in and like I know me and I know what I'm capable of and I know what I'm about. And so I'm like, hey, you just need to trust me because I'm a good person and I work really hard and I'm gonna do a really good job. And I would say in any area, but especially smaller communities, you get a little bit of this. Wait a minute, I'm not going to just let you in immediately. I don't know you yet.
Yeah.
So I spent 10 to 12 years building some of the key relationships that I have now that help me make my business successful. With LaunchJOCO, I saw that as an opportunity to find the Joes of the world and say, hey, let me introduce you to a few people to make your path a little smoother.
You did.
Right? So we did.
Very much did, yes.
Yes.
Very much did introduce me to a lot of people who helped me over the last year.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's when we get excited.
Right, exactly. So I wanted to get your perspective on, as a current launch student, you came into the chamber and started making connections.
Right.
And so tell us how you learned about LaunchJOCO.
Actually, I wouldn't have learned about it unless I joined the chamber. I did come to a meeting last year and met some people, Valerie being one of them. She was the one who actually told me about it in the beginning, who then said, you need to go apply. Just go apply. If you don't get it, you don't get it. I'm like, all right, next year's always again. But I had no idea what I was doing.
Right.
So I applied.
And you're new to the area.
I am new to the area, yes. I've been a resident of Clayton for 4 years, but I've only been in business for 1.
Okay.
The chamber really turned things around for me. I started meeting other people, other businesses who helped me grow my business. Now, when launch started in January, within the first 4 weeks of classroom, I had made changes to my business that have been so beneficial to me. Changed the way I have.
I get so excited.
I've done business. I've made become more profitable in my business. On top of the network that comes along with it, still do talk. Even though we're out of the classroom portion, I still do miss all my classmates.
Well, you form a connection and a bond with them, right?
We did.
Which is
we
important.
definitely did. I used my fellow classmates for another project. I needed something done. They took care of it for me. We still try to meet with each other once a month or every couple of weeks just to say, hey, see how everybody's business is running, see what we can do to help.
Right. So, well, I think a lot of entrepreneurs and sole proprietorships, they work in a silo sometimes, and they're not connected to other business owners, and they don't talk about best practices, and they don't have a place where they can share frustrations and joys and celebrations and that kind of thing.
Not only that, but it's with the classroom portion, if you're having an issue with your business, you just need someone to talk to. I do this when I'm trying to figure out a problem. I'll call up another friend and I'll just be like, I need you to listen. And I'll explain to him what I'm doing. Yeah. And then if something doesn't sound right, they'll chime in and say, hey, try doing this. The same thing with this program. It was one class we spent I think, an hour and a half just fixing someone's, not want to say fixing, but changing someone's view on their business because they needed help from us.
Right.
Which I've never run a business before. I need help. So
Yeah.
just bouncing ideas off someone else, even though they're not in the same business as you, you get an outside perspective on how to do something. And then you make the changes. If the change works, if it's great. If it doesn't, you back to the drawing board, you do it again.
Right.
Like I said, in 3 weeks of that class, just the classroom portion, there was changes made to my business.
Right.
And the benefits behind it were great.
How is now there's a mentorship portion to this.
Mentorship portion of it is great. You get to match up with somebody who is your weakness. My weakness on this is the finance side. I'm great at doing electrical work, but numbers and money is just not my forte. So if I have a question, I have my mentor to reach out to. I also have some other people I can talk to as well from the networking I did here at the chamber and then here at the LaunchJOCO program.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things that made me think of is you asked who the partners were. So this is a great opportunity for us to talk about who the partners. In order to make this program successful, we decided, because we're kind of giving you history as well, we decided pretty early on that it would be most successful if we took it on as a community collaborative, that we really took ownership and said no matter what, it will fall back on Clayton Chamber and Clayton Rotary. We will always own it. And make sure that no matter what things come through, but the bigger we can make this collaborative, kind of the more successful it is. So pretty early on, other partners we brought to the table, I've mentioned Johnston Community College. They have been integral. Suzanne Ross joined us as she joined the community college the second year in. And she has just been such a gift. I can't say enough great things about her.
I agree with you 100%.
Right.
Yeah.
She's the best. I'm constantly, it's funny, like, just being at the hair salon earlier today and the lady's in there and she's talking about her husband's business and the person that's doing my hair is someone I met through LaunchJOCO and she's like, let's tell you about LaunchJOCO. So all of a sudden I'm like in foils and I'm telling this girl about LaunchJOCO and I'm like, write down Suzanne's email address. It is smbross@, and we're going through it and she said, really? I can just give her a call. So so Johnston Community College has been massively helpful. Another huge early adopter, I would say forerunner, was Johnston County Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta. So when we started with this idea, we weren't aware that they were already doing a smaller version of this program. So very quickly, we went to them and said, hey, this is kind of our vision on it. Do we want to join arms or do we want to stay out of your way? Because we definitely did not want to disparage any of the work that they've done. And they very quickly jumped on board and were one of our earliest, I would say they were the third yes. So Clayton Chamber was yes, Clayton Rotary was yes, Delta Sigma Theta was third on board. And they have not only supported the program with the volunteers that have been involved with the program, but also financially. They've helped finance a large part of this program. That's when we started looking and going, okay, now what else do we need to do? So we went to the Benson Chamber of Commerce and we went to Triangle East and said, instead of Launch Clayton, let's make this Launch Johnston County. Let's make this LaunchJOCO. Central Rotary very quickly also came on board with the chambers and said, absolutely, we want to be a part of it.
Yeah, and they've supported us financially as well.
Absolutely, huge. And Town of Clayton has also supported us as well, which has been wonderful. So when we look, not to mention the sponsors that help run this program.
And KS Bank has been our presenting sponsor from before the inception of this. So
they really have.
They bought into an idea, which was amazing. They just said in
I went into Earl's office and I was like, hey, so I have this really cool idea and you're going to have to trust me on it and you want KS's name all over this. And he's like, what have you done?
Yes.
And I said, well, Dana and I, he said, oh, Lord. And then he said, you know what? He says, I like it. Why don't you come see me and I'll give you $1 or $2. So I went back and I said, I want $3. He's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, trust me. You want to be involved. So you're right. KS has been... just such a massive support.
So let's talk about funding for this project.
Oh, gosh.
Because
this is not cheap.
Sponsorships, we're funded by sponsorships and grants.
Yes.
Because there is absolutely no cost to the students for this program.
The only cost is time.
Yes.
Exactly.
Which is a huge investment.
Which is an
right?
investment on your
The
part.
time and effort that goes into doing this program is key to your success.
It
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
They go to class for 14 weeks. They eat dinner at 5:30 together, and then from 6 to 9 it is hardcore class, and then they go home and do about 3 or 4 hours of homework a week, depending on what it is that you're working on. Sometimes it may be faster, sometimes it may take longer.
Yeah.
Right. So that is their sweat equity into the program. But yeah, to make this happen on the level that we do with the level of professionalism, it's taken us about $30,000 a year to do this. So we raise those monies through something we have here at Clayton Chamber called the Total Resource Campaign. So we have major sponsorships. Our presenting sponsors, KS Bank. Our second tier of sponsorship is called Gold Sponsors.
Yeah.
I think
there's
it's Gold
several different
sponsors.
levels.
Yeah,
for
there's
different
several
things.
different levels. Delta Sigma Theta has always been the next biggest supporter. From that perspective, the Rotaries have been massively involved. They actually do a joint grant together through our district that says, hey, we'll put in $5, they'll put in $5, so that's $10, and then they get the district matching grant that's another $10. So we
Because
get
one of the
these-
pillars
yeah.
of Rotary is economic development.
Right.
So that is why we get that grant,
Right.
which is amazing.
Yeah, and so just all of these pieces come together. Local small businesses to see the value in it, coming in and doing everything from catering the meals that you eat. All of that is paid for. The facilitator, Katie Gales, this year with education has been fantastic. So she is a paid person versus the rest of us running the program are volunteers, but that's definitely a position that.
She is a wealth of knowledge.
Yes.
And if she doesn't know something, she'll figure it out, or she'll go ask someone else just to get that knowledge,
Right.
Yeah.
and then she'll bring it to you.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think she was a great asset
good.
this year.
Yeah, she has been phenomenal. And actually, when we started the program, she was the first person to bring this concept to North Carolina. So it's kind of a full circle moment that we
Right.
went to her for buy-in, and then a couple of years later, all of a
She's
sudden,
teaching.
she's the education facilitator, which has been such a gift.
So what would you say to someone who's listening or has read on Facebook about LaunchJOCO and their informational sessions, and what would you say to somebody thinking, maybe not?
Do it.
Yeah.
100%. I think I've actually had 3 or 4 phone calls asking me if it's worth it, and I said every bit of it.
Nice.
Whether you are established for a few years or you're just established for one like I am, just do it. I mean, you learn something new and it changes your business. It makes you better, makes your business better.
Right.
How could you say no to that?
I
I'm in
agree.
tears.
I know. It's very emotional. This is a heart program.
It really is. It has
because
been our
we see
prayer.
the difference. You can
Yeah.
see, it's tangible. We can actually see it, the fruit of this program.
So I know one person did call me and asked that, and I was on the phone with them for 20 minutes explaining what's going on and how it works and what needs to be done and the, I don't want to say the behind the scenes, but the background that a lot of people don't know about, like the homework, the time you have to put into it, the effort that goes into it.
Right, because
But-
faith without works is dead, right?
Right.
I mean, you've got to
But-
put the work into it.
But I go, just apply. If
Yeah.
they offer it to you and you think that's not the right time, just
Well, okay,
Yeah.
so let's talk about applications. Applications open August 1st.
okay.
And so you were the first class, your class was the first class that had to do a presentation
Yes, we were.
to apply. So talk about that process, because if you're like me, I'd have been nervous,
So I made a little PowerPoint. I think everybody had to make a PowerPoint.
Yeah.
That was part of the process. And then sitting in front of 9 or 10 people that you have no idea who they are.
Yeah.
But you learn over the course of time who these people are and how they're beneficial to you and your growth. What I found out is that I was making, I don't want to say making too much money. My books weren't right.
Yeah.
And I have no idea what I'm doing. Before I left there, Melissa actually set me up with somebody to
Right.
take care of it.
Yeah.
And they fixed it, and I was still showing that wonderful profit that was there. But standing in front of 9 or 10 people that you have no idea, trying to pitch your business to allow you to be in this program is nerve-wracking. I'm
Yeah.
not a public speaker. Over the course of last year, I've become better.
Right.
Between Good Morning Clayton, other things like that, and other networking groups.
Yeah.
Talking to people is now just becoming a second
Exactly.
thing.
So it's the start of a growth opportunity
Yeah.
for you to stretch your wings
Yeah.
and learn some different skill sets that
Yeah.
you might not have
There
initially.
are some people that I strive to be like because their energy is phenomenal, which I'll be there one day, just not yet.
It comes over time. And you bring up a great point. That we did the pitch this year because if you can't be passionate enough to sell us on why we should invest $30,000 in you, you probably don't need to be at the table, right?
Right.
So even though it's nerve-wracking, we tried to also create a warm environment. Like we were all smiling.
Oh, yes.
So, and excited for you. But yeah, and that brings up the next piece is what we realized is that when you graduate from this program, grants, didn't even mention grants.
Yes.
So the last couple of years, we've been blessed to be given money by KS Bank and Clayton Women in Networking saying, hey, we see such value in this program. We want to offer grants to hardworking people in there. So there's an application process that you guys will do soon
And
for
now this
grants
year,
coming upcoming
Clayton
year.
Chamber Foundation is able to offer grants.
That's right.
So
Yes.
that's new for this
Oh,
year.
I didn't know about
I know,
that.
surprise.
Yeah.
Wait, there's more.
Yeah.
That's part of the passion of this is so exciting is because I think we believed in it from the get-go. It's just taken a while for other
It has.
people to see and for us to have proof of concept
Exactly.
with this. And what we realized is that when you guys graduated, there's still so much more that you need, right? So that's where Launch Beyond came into. So we created a continuing education series that once a month, we're doing these continuing education classes that are open to anyone in the community, whether
Right.
they're a chamber member or not. If you're listening to this and going, but I'm not the member of one of these organizations, it doesn't matter. We want
Right.
you to come to the table because what you find out is you see the value in it, and we want you to get connected into your community. So with this Launch Beyond series, we're talking about the other things we didn't get to in class. How to carry yourself professionally, right? How to network effectively. Drive-by networking where you give everybody in the room a business card and you run away and you're like, yes, I accomplished it. You accomplished nothing.
Yeah.
Because those go in a stack, and we mean well, right? And then that stack's there, and then about 6 months later, I'm like, I'm going to throw those away. Because we mean well. If you only meet 3 people during a networking session, but you have a meaningful conversation, that's going to carry you further. So it's things like that in the Launch Beyond series, we're able to start talking about and carrying on those conversations. And as a benefit, as you graduate, instead of paying for that class, guess what? As a Launch graduate, you get it for free. Because we say, you know what, we want you to see that we are still pouring and investing in you and your future. So,
Yeah.
That's exciting.
yeah.
It's
We get
exciting.
excited.
We
if
do.
nothing else, yeah, we get excited.
So we've already mentioned key point of that applications
Yeah.
go live August 1st.
Right.
And then we have informational sessions
Yes.
throughout the county beginning in August. Our first one is August the 6th in Smithfield at Triangle East Chamber. So we're hoping that to gain people from the eastern part of the county
Right.
and to attend that session. Then on August the 20th, we have one in Clayton at the Workforce Development Center for the western part of the county. And you can attend any one of them, but we
I
were
was
trying
gonna
to
say
be
that, yeah.
strategic across the county. And then August the 22nd will be in Benson at the Benson Chamber of Commerce, and they all start at 5:30. And if you are thinking about applying for LaunchJOCO or you just want some information, attend. Yeah, just like Joe said, just do it.
Just do it.
Just show up, yeah.
Yeah.
And just to reiterate, in case you didn't hear Dana when she said it, because she's exactly right. If one date works better for you than another, just show up to that one. It doesn't matter. Some
Yeah.
of our Clayton people that started the program actually were at the Benson
Exactly.
information session. So that's where we
Whatever
met.
works in your schedule.
Michael Polos, and we met, Deborah was from Benson. We met her there, but there was somebody else. Tina Bailey.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think
Right,
Tina's down
Tina
in
was
Benson as
there,
well,
so
yes.
yeah. But there was another person from Smithfield. So just to come check it out. Ask the questions. Nobody's going to chase you down. This is a gift. And sometimes it's just an eye-opening moment to recognize that you may think I've got it all together and I don't need it yet. There's a Launch Raleigh graduate, Evelyn Sanders. She had an existing successful business. The things that she learned in the Launch Raleigh program made her a multi-million-dollar company. And so I'm always a little jealous that I'm so busy over here volunteering that I haven't had time to do it myself, because I really think that my business 12 years in could run through the paces and probably improve. You're giving me the look.
I'm giving you a look. Guess
I
what?
know,
Applications start August 1st.
That's right.
Thank you. August 1st. Okay.
I didn't even know about the informational meetings prior.
Yeah.
I just kind of it was.
Because you came into the chamber, so somebody
did.
knew about it, right?
So I was here for Good Morning Clayton. And then 2
Valerie.
weeks later, I was sitting with Valerie at another networking event, and she's like, "You need to just apply. Just apply." That's all she told me. She didn't tell me anything else. Just go apply. And that's what I did. I applied. I'm like, if it works, it works. Doesn't, it doesn't. Like, I'll try again next year.
Well, and she's been such a great, shout out to Valerie. She's been such a great mouthpiece for this program and just what the opportunities are within our chamber as well as within the community to get plugged in.
Yeah.
And I'm glad she pushed you on it, because I didn't know that you were kind of hesitant to do so.
Again, not knowing anything.
Yeah.
I don't want to say not knowing anything, but not knowing how to run my business. I'm like, all right, I got to find some help.
Yeah.
And then she explained what kind of what it is, and then I just said I applied. That's all I did, was just apply for it. And here I am, just about a year later since I had that conversation, and my business is booming.
Right.
I've used you.
Yes,
Right. He hooked me up. I was like, I paid him. It wasn't free. I paid him because he's earning money too. But he hooked me up, and it was so neat. That's the other piece that's kind of an unsaid thing that people don't always realize right away. It's not only the networking and learning how to network, but the network you build within your group.
Right.
That you're referring each other, and then all of a sudden you've got a guy that, or you've got a gal that. I don't think I could ever look at ice cream the same anymore after meeting Deborah and eating her ice cream.
Popcorn flavored ice cream.
Popcorn flavored ice cream. Oh my gosh.
It was phenomenal.
Yeah.
That's good.
And now I have
religious
a jeweler.
experience. Let us pray.
Now I never thought I'd be in a position where I could say I have a jeweler. I have somebody. I would send someone else to go see Michael if you have any jewelry needs.
And we had a friend of ours that got engaged recently, and through LaunchJOCO, he met Michael. So that's where he went to get his engagement ring. So yeah.
My wife had pictures ideas, and we went to Jess and James, and she said, "Have at it. Just keep it under X amount."
At right angle.
Right.
So
and they called
anybody
us
can
last
apply
week.
to this
Right.
program.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what your business is.
Right.
So just to kind of wrap things up, thank you guys for being on the podcast today. I love talking about LaunchJOCO, and I love this time of year when we get to do that. In fact, we're doing a couple of podcasts throughout the county, so we're trying to spread the word as much as possible. So we're on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, LaunchJOCO. Check us out. Come to an informational session and just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for having me.